Hey guys, welcome back to Maelstrom Games 2's. I'm Craig, and today we've got another Tyranid deep dive for you. This time we're going to go for a classic Tyranid unit, the Tyranid Warriors. Now, Tyranid Warriors, as you'll learn throughout this, are in one of two places for me. I really love one, and I'm really not liking the other one. But all in all, we've got to talk on them because they are a fun unit to field on the battlefield. Now, if you haven't seen our Tyranid deep dives before, I do consider or suggest you subscribe to stay up to date on all of our content here. We do a ton of Tyranid stuff, battle reports, Tyranid tactics, tournament stuff, all sorts of things. Tyranids are my original army, and I try to do a lot here, but we'll do some other stuff from time to time, especially on the battle reports. So do that if you want. Members, thank you. Consider becoming a member if you are not. We are nearing 10,000 subscribers. Members, you're a big part to allowing us to grow. And when we hit 10,000 subscribers, we are going to do an awesome live stream. I'm thinking something like a 10-hour live stream where we got multiple games of 40k, maybe a tournament, maybe some narrative stuff, maybe a little bit of everything. Who knows? But we'll do something fun for it. I'll take the day off of work and just have a blast. And with all that out of the way, let's dive into today's deep dive. So like all of our deep dives here, we will go over the profiles of our units. We will go over the abilities our units have, some detachment support, my playstyle for them, damage output, and a little bit of a conclusion all wrapped up. Starting us off, we do have, I don't think I mentioned this in the intro, but we have 3 units we're looking at. We'll look at the melee warriors, we'll look at the ranged warriors, and we will of course talk about the winged prime, because yes, it can go with the gargoyles, but you really want it with the warriors here. So, overall, the base stats, they're okay. Toughness 5, 4 up save, and 3 wounds is not great in terms of durability. That's really their biggest downside, is that these things are fragile. Anyone who's got an anti-tank weapon, something like an exocrine in terms of its shooting, is going to just blow these away as soon as they get out in the open. That's their biggest downside. But they do provide a significant punch, if they get there. Otherwise, their movement is so-so. 6-inch moves pretty standard. The winged prime with a 12-inch move, you can play a little bit of leapfrog with it to get your unit a little bit further up the board. But, you know, it's only so much you can go with. And talking of the melee weapon profiles, the melee warriors, fantastic melee unit. I would say if we're only comparing damage output, not the overall unit otherwise, these guys are close to #1 in my book. They have 6 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 5, now 6 because of synapse, AP -2, 1 damage. The strength 6, AP 2, twin linked. Twin linked, yes, it's only damage 1, but you have so many of that. Combine that with, you'll see some of the abilities later, really just stack these guys up from good to fantastic. Tyranid warriors, or the ranged warriors, on the other hand, I think they are something to be, to be desired, not something to be desired, whatever the saying is there. They're lacking something to be desired, correct me, whatever it is. Their melee, because they do get melee and shooting, is 5 shots, or 5 swings, hitting on 3s, strength 5, AP -1, 1 damage, no benefits there. Technically, I guess these guys are also strength 6. That's not bad for its damage output. They're good in the range, but they will not do nearly as much with the only AP -1 and the no twin linked. They will really struggle to trade up, and they'll have to focus on the medium to light units that they brawl with. The wing prime, like I said, there you go. 6 attacks, hitting on 2, strength 7 now, AP -1, 2 damage. Again, it's good. It's good. It'll kill a couple of Marines, but the AP -1 is really going to be holding it back, where, you go up against those Marines with those 2 wound bodies, and they're going to get 4 up saves, so they're going to shrug half of them. Maybe you kill 1 or 2. It's not bad. It's just okay. But again, you're not taking the prime for the prime. You're taking it for its abilities and its enhancements and leading the warriors. So, range profiles. The ranged warriors obviously have that. They've got a lot of weapons to deal with, to choose from, really. You got Barb Stranglers, which is kind of our blast weapon. You've got Death Spitters, Devourers, Spine Fists, and Venom Cannons are other heavy weapon. Personally, and I think most people could agree with this, I would ignore Spine Fists and I would ignore Devourers. Just They're not what they could be. I would, maybe you could argue Spine Fist, but really I'd ignore them. I would take Barb Stranglers, Death Spears, and Venom Cannons. And now the way it works is for every 3 models, you can take 1 Barb Strangler, 1 Venom Cannon, or you could take up to 3 Death Spitters. The Barb Strangler and the Venom Cannon are going to do the bulk of your damage. So if you take a 3-man squad, take 1 of each. If you take a 6-man squad, take 2 of each. It's kind of a weird loadout. 4 heavy weapons and 2 regular weapons in the Warriors. But that is the way the kit is designed, so that is the way the kit can be run. The new motto of GW. So we'll see the damage output in a little bit, but that is what you can do with them. And here's that damage output. So I've done a couple things here to show off the damage output of the melee warriors. If you haven't seen our videos, we've got a little bit of a range of opponents here. You know, guardsmen, intercessors, terminators, so on and so forth, increasing in durability. And on the left, I've taken 4 categories of melee warriors to deal with. First off, it's just basic melee warriors with the prime sustained. The next one is ranged warriors. They're ranged output with the prime sustained. The next one I've actually done is melee warriors in Vanguard Onslaught. There's a specific strat that you can use that gives them +1 to hit, and if the opponent fails their battle shock, it is +1 to wound. I believe that is called Vanguard Predators. I could be wrong. I think that's what it is. I've gone and showed you what that damage output ramps up to because it is insane. And finally, in case you want to see it, I showed them the prime in her melee damage, which is whatever. So first off, you can see that the melee warriors just absolutely decimate guardsmen. 33 of them is fantastic. Killing 9 intercessors is no slouch. 4 terminators, almost 6 Gravis Marines, a bunch of wounds on the Rhinos, the Land Raider, and the Catan. Again, that twin linked really helps deal the damage there, and at AP2. Ranged warriors, little something to be desired. Now there is something to be said, and maybe I should have done it where I put their melee output in there as well. Their melee output at range will be... Wait, did I not do the... Did I miss the special rules? I did. Whoops. The ranged warriors output in melee will be significantly less than the melee warriors. I would say roughly a third of the damage output, just because you are not rerolling ones to hit, which I realize we haven't talked about, but we will. And you are not rerolling any of your wounds. So it's going to be struggling a bit. So maybe take that into account here, is that these warriors do not have melee output. You could tack on some extra wounds to it, but not a ton. So again, you kill 9 guardsmen in shooting, which is fine. You kill a couple intercessors, which is fine. That Venom Cannon really helps out there. You do some wounds to a Terminator. This is where the low AP1 and strength really starts to struggle here. And as you can see, it just gets worse and worse. So I don't really like them for the damage output. Melee warriors now with that Vanguard Onslaught bubble, so you've got the prime, you've got the +1 to hit and +1 to wound essentially. Now melee warriors are hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, 6s are sustained, and they're wounding everything at +1 with that twin linked. You absolutely obliterate almost 40 guardsmen. You obliterate a 10-man squad of intercessors. You butcher a 5-man squad of terminators. You can butcher a 5 or 6-man squad, because Gravis are often taken in 6-man squads. So you can butcher a 6-man squad of Gravis Marines. You can absolutely decimate a Rhino, and you could even, if you wanted to, maybe pull it off and tag team a Rhino there. 2 of them. You do 11 wounds to a Land Raider. Land Raider is a 2-up save, 4-up wounds, but with a +1 to wound, makes them so you're wounding on 5s, twin linked. It just adds a substantial number of damage. Really, I mean, it comes down to basically twice as much as before with a few extra because of the extra hits. And the Catan. 10 wounds to a Catan is about as good as Tyranids can do to a Catan in a single activation. That's almost killing it. If you had some chip damage somewhere else in shooting, bam, Catan dead, problem solved, which is a Catan are a nasty problem for Tyranids. And then the prime melee, again, you kill a bunch of guardsmen, and then you do some damage here or there, but without the abilities of the other stuff, it's not much. Again, if you play the prime into the melee wars with that Vanguard Onslaught buff, you stack that up a little bit more. Maybe you put a Wounded Catan or Land Raider stuff, but it's not. The AP1 really makes it harder to deal with. So now I've realized I've done this out of order a bit here, but we're going to talk about the special rules for the units. Maybe I will in post-edit change this, who knows. But for the post rules, the Wing Prime has Deep Strike, which is fun. Only works on himself. It's got Alpha War, which is where that sustained hits is coming from that I'm talking about. And Death Blow, which is, 4+5 on death, nothing fantastic. Maybe you kill a few more Marines or something with it. But really, it is the Alpha Warrior and the ability to take enhancements, which is why you bring the Prime. Melee Warriors, here's where the reroll 1s to hit comes from. You can either reroll 1s to hit or reroll saving throws of 1 in the fight phase. You choose every fight phase. Never, ever take reroll saving throws of 1 because you only have a 4-up save and you're probably going to be hit with an AP1 or 2 weapon. So what are you going to, 6-up save, rerolling 1s? No, that's horrible. Just go for the damage output and butcher whatever you go up against. Ranged Warriors, they have a fantastic ability. Fallback shoot and charge is amazing, and you could maybe use that to brawl with some chaff units in the front lines. Are points of warriors really what you want to use to be brawling in the front lines? Maybe not, but nonetheless, it is a fantastic ability. I just wish it was on a stronger unit. I wish the melee warriors or the ranged warriors hit on 3s instead of 4s. Maybe make their melee 4s instead of 3s. I don't know. It is what it is. I don't like them as much. So now we have some detachment benefits. They really help out anywhere. Vanguard Onslaught is a big one. If you take them with the Prime, they gain that Vanguard Invader keyword. They have a strat for the +1 to hit and potentially wound, as I mentioned. They've got access to advance and charge. There are some strats to make them 18-inch lone off, come off the board and come back on, although I don't know why you would do that with melee warriors or ranged ones. Again, just great in Vanguard Onslaught. Assimilation Swarm, fine. Reviving a whole warrior is pretty nice. There are some great strats and enhancements. You can take the lethal hits, which also amp up the melee warrior's potential there. As well as there's enhancement for +1 strength, which increases that. You can take the free heroic and fight first if you're near certain units. All still very good ones in assimilation there if you're looking for melee warriors. Unending Swarm, no specific buffs. There are some you can take on a Prime, which maybe you move a little bit quicker, but not really what you want. They're just nice. You could take the ranged ones for some Synapse Bubbles. That's about it. Same thing for Crusher Stampede. No specific benefits, but it's always nice to have a little Synapse Bubble sitting around if you want. Invasion Fleet, these guys love lethals and sustained. You could get into a situation where the Prime is giving you sustained hits, and you've taken lethal hits, so now your damage output against vehicles is going to be skyrocketing as well as the Feel of Pain strat really gives them some much needed durability. A 5-up Feel of Pain goes a long way on keeping 3 wound bodies alive. Finally, we have Synaptic Nexus. Now, Synaptic Nexus actually is very good for warriors, both ranged and melee. There are some shooting buffs to take with the ranged warriors, so you could do that. Synaptic Nexus likes having some synapse units everywhere possible. So again, ranged warriors I think are a good option there. But the melee warriors, Reinforced Hive Node for Armor of Contempt on synapse units, great. All the imperatives they love, so the +2 to move, get that extra speed, 5-up Invone, some needed durability, and +1 to hit, hitting on 2s, ruling 1s. Who doesn't love that? So in terms for me, Vanguard Onslaught and Synaptic Nexus are definitely the places where warriors will shine the most. And the other ones, Invasion and Assimilation, are probably next, and then Crusher and Unending Swarm, okay. So that just comes to the playstyle of these guys. It's pretty straightforward with these guys. We'll start with melee warriors. I would take them with a Prime, big 6-man blocks with a Prime, every time you want to take melee warriors. They are fantastic at trading up. They have the Twin Link, like I've said, just allows them to deal with things that are much more tough than them. Really truck them down. really take down those types of units. They are squishy. They're very, very squishy. Indirect has seen a nice nerf, so they're not going to die to indirect as much, but they still can just get obliterated by indirect weapons, so watch out for that. As well as, in general, ranged weapons do just melt warriors, so I try to keep them in cover until the turn 2 or 3 where maybe some of the threats are closer to them or some of the ranged threats are dealt with, and then they can leap in to fight, clear some big thing out, and then they'll die from there most likely. Always use the prime to leapfrog, and by leapfrogging, I mean you've got your 6 warriors in a block, put the prime in the back, so when the warriors move 6 inches, the prime moves 12, and now the prime is in front. Your unit has technically moved like 8 inches forward instead of 6. So it's a nice way to do that, to get just ever so slightly more movement with your unit. They're good at disrupting primary. OC2 is fine, and they, like I said, they do have a large footprint. 50 millimeter bases for these guys mean they are kind of hard to hide the whole unit, but do as best you can. Range warriors, I don't like them. I think they're mediocre. They're great at dealing with weak chaff stuff, but as soon as they get exposed, they don't have any durability like the other ones, but they don't have any hitting power, unlike the other ones. So they're cheaper. I just would stay away from them. Take something else for the 65 points. Just take melee ones. I don't know. I don't like them. You can use them to be synapse blocks. They're okay. Again, I want to try to like them. This is a deep dive. I want to show off how you can use them to their best. Synaptic Nexus maybe, but really they're just bad. And the prime, again, told you take the prime with the melee warriors every time. There are some shenanigans, especially in Vanguard Onslaught. You could just take a lone prime by itself. Maybe in Synaptic Nexus you take a lone prime and have that -1 leadership bubble, so just fly it into your opponent, cause -1 leadership, and then another -1 leadership because of the synapse when you trigger Shadow. That's a fun little tactic for a lone prime. Taking it by itself, it can deep strike, decently durable, do an action. It's got the speed to go somewhere else, do an action, and at 65 points, you know, it's not a huge investment. So that's some other options with the Wing Prime. But really, that's it. That's it for the Warriors. They are so close to being fantastic units. Yes, they are not in the realm of what they were in 9th edition, but I still think specifically the melee ones, they are fantastic. Their durability can create some feels bad moments. I've had many games in them with tournaments where I'm moving up the board and my opponent strategic reserve something, gets an angle on them, and one, you know, high anti-tank gun with decent volume just cleans them out. And that's a lot of points that just get gunned down before they even get to do anything. So watch out for those. And again, I hate the ranged warriors. If I'm missing something with ranged warriors, please let me know. I can't find them useful in really any regard. Or maybe they're useful, but there's a unit that's better at that job than them. So that's what I've got on the Warriors today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this deep dive. Let me know what you think down in the comments. If you've got a suggestion for another deep dive, put them in the comments. And if you see someone else suggest what you want, just thumb up that comment or comment on that comment so I see that that's got some traction, and I will add it to the queue of ones we do next here at Maelstrom Gaming Studios. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time here at Maelstrom Gaming Studios. Yeah.